We'll leave with that.
Don't leave with that. Good morning or afternoon or whatever time you are watching this.
In whatever country time zone you're in.
Yes, 'cause we are worldwide, I'm sure.
Worldwide. The Worldwide Widget Company.
That's us. Oh, anyhow. Hey, everybody.
Hi, everyone. That's Gail Becker. She is the Director of Education and Associate Artistic Director of Capital City Theater.
That's Andrew Abrams. I'm pointing both sides because I'm not going to sure how we end up. So, yeah. That's Andrew Abrams.
Who am I?
I said that's Andrew Abrams, the Artistic Director of Capital City Theater.
Do I have a title?
Just today you do. Where the wild things are. That's the title.
Pretty much how I feel right now. All right. So, Gail, tell us about our guest today.
Well, let's tell them what we're doing. So,
sure.
In case you haven't joined us before, we are doing the first 5 years of Capital City Theater. These are episodes where we get to interview some of the artists that have worked with us for the first 5 years and help make Capital City Theater what we are now and how we're growing. We kind of just want to check in with them, see how everything's going for the last 4 or 5 months. It's been pretty weird, and so we wanted to visit. We wanted to reach out and visit. So today, we are speaking with our director from Carrie the Musical, which was our first Capital City Theater Conservatory production, which is really exciting. Oh, man.
Conservatory.
Conservatory. Let's bring him in, shall we?
Rise, cirrhosis of liver.
It says joining. He is joining.
He's here.
He's here.
He is revealed.
He is revealed. Excellent. Hi, Jake. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. I'm good. So I know that you're in many different locations. Are you in Madison right now?
I'm in Spring Green right now.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah. Normally I live in Madison, but I've been out. My day job at American Players Theater has required me to be out.
That's right.
It feels odd because now we're not in physical contact with anybody, but it's helpful to have people nearby.
There.
Yeah.
Maybe you take a walk and you see somebody. That could be it.
There's a lot of that, actually. There's a lot of talking business from across people's front lawns and, while they're out on their front stoops. And so,
there you go. Good old hometown USA, sitting on the front stoops, chatting.
You're right.
But I
Whittling.
I love the general store, though. It's so awesome.
At least...
Only if the Olsons are running it.
No, it's one of my favorite places to go.
I've missed the general store.
Yeah, it's so awesome.
I missed the general store. I've missed the Slowpoke line. Like everybody in town has been closed for the last 2 months. So.
Well, hopefully now that our stay-at-home order has been lifted and we've got some new regulations about opening businesses at certain percentages, we can start revisiting some of those local icons and helping those people get back on their feet.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right? So, which brings us to our industry. I imagine it's been an ongoing conversation with you guys. It certainly has been here.
Yeah, just rescheduling things. I mean, we rescheduled things earlier this year when this all broke out, thinking that September, October was going to be all in the clear, and then we realized we had to reschedule again. And it's not so much because we didn't think something was going to be available to us, but more about our audiences and their comfort level and who's going to show. And, we want to do our shows in our fullest capacity and how we've envisioned them. And we knew we'd have to just make too many concessions if we tried to actually do something that early, September, October. So we said, let's wait.
Most artists are landing right now. It's like we have to do what we do,
mm-hmm.
And because that. Yeah, I don't know anyone who doesn't want to do it full out and fully engaged the way that it was meant to be. And,
yeah.
These Zoom readings are great and all of that, but it definitely leaves you wanting, I think, by the end of it, that essential thing that theater gives to you. We're not going to have that for at least a little while. And I hope that you're right, that people will eventually start to get comfortable with getting back out there and
right.
Yeah, you're right. The innovativeness is brilliant, but at the same time, it's not the same thing.
The energy, the energy exchanged between person and person in person is not there. That's what you just don't feel that. So yeah.
So to Carrie.
Yeah, let's talk about Carrie. Go ahead, Andy. I'm gonna.
I was gonna
pass it to me.
To you,
Can't drinking coffee.
It's great. I was trying to, just in knowing that we were going to speak this morning, I threw the cast recording on just to try and get myself back in that headspace of where we were a year ago. It
Right?
didn't work. I'm still in May 2020 right now, unfortunately. But it was great to sort of take that trip back down memory lane and think, okay, here's what we were thinking about. Here's what we were talking about in those production meetings a year ago.
Yeah.
The
Ugh.
look and feel of it and everything. And that would be cool to revisit if we could.
You have a lot of directing experience and acting experience under your belt. Can tell us what it was like to, or the differences, or what you felt you needed to achieve by doing a musical rather than just a straight play.
Yeah, it was definitely a concern of mine when you first reached out to me, Gail, because I thought, I don't have a whole lot of experience working on musicals. I mean, a little bit. I worked on Fun Home and Forward two seasons ago now,
Mm-hmm.
but I listened to the recording as soon as you reached out, and I read the script that you'd sent, and I've been wrestling with how to talk about this that doesn't make me sound like a snobbish highbrow douchebag, but I believe me, I know that it sounds like that. I don't intend for it to sound like that, but after reading the script a couple of times, it just became very clear to me that there was something about Carrie. Despite the fact that Carrie is such a cultural touchstone for us, it's one of the great pieces of pop art that we've made in the last 50 years, both the book and then the film version and then the remake, the series. I mean, despite all of that, I think Carrie in its bones, at least the musical, shares so much with classical tragedy, which is very much the genre that I'm coming from when you had initially reached out to me. So
Right.
all of the elements were there, all of the rhythms were there. You've got these two warring kingdoms within this high school. You've got Tommy and Sue, and you've got Chris and Billy on the other side, and all of the subjects sort of caught in between. You've got an overbearing mother, you've got a wise teacher and mentor, and you've got a vengeful God. And so I read through it a couple of times, and I was like, "Oh, I know how to do this." And then after that, it was really sort of being honest with the production team and with Evan, the music director, and his team, and the actors themselves about saying, listen, I'm a guest in your house right now in terms of the genre and the style that we get to work in. I'll follow you guys, but just trust me when it comes to the sort of overarching narrative and the macro level story. So let me set that up for you all to do the work that you're all clearly great at. And so, once I got in the rehearsal room with them, I think within 10 minutes, I was like, oh, we're going to be great. Like these students are so well trained and so talented. It was kind of mind blowing that first week of seeing how quickly they got into it and were able to hang with each other and gel as a cast and listen to my direction, as confusing as I'm sure it probably was at the time.
Well, that's one of the key things about the conservatory production is that we're trying to give these students a real a foray into a professional contract, the timing of it, how it works with directors and music directors and choreographers and things like that, so that they get a real sense of that sort of artistry of working in that setting. So did you, and like you said, you found that they just sort of adapted to that right away, and you didn't have a learning curve or anything with that?
No, I mean, there was. I think that, we knew in the audition, we had 30 some odd students of yours and Andy and conservatory graduates who would come out to audition for it, and there really wasn't a weak link in the whole bunch. I mean, that cast was such that group that came out to audition, they did not make it easy on us in terms of putting that puzzle together. And that puzzle is one of the things that I'm most proud of about that production. But in terms of learning curve, they came into the room prepared. They were really ready to go. And you've been in these rehearsal rooms where it's only a 3-week process, and you've got to, there's no real room or time to adjust to trusting each other and to trusting a director and to trusting a music director and a stage manager. They really just sort of did it immediately. And that to me is always the gap between the training stage and then the leap to professional work, is you have to get used to that timeline. That's kind of a new thing. They did not need to adjust to that timeline. I think they were ahead of that timeline in a lot of ways. I think that they came in expecting this to be a hurry-up offense, that we were going to have to get this thing into some kind of a watchable, listen-to-able shape within 2 weeks, and I think we did that. And despite the fact that, I mean, they've got their own lives and they've got their own other training programs that they're doing. So we built a schedule that I don't think we had everybody in the same room for 2 weeks. The first time we ran the show, I think that was the first time we had all 15 of those actors in the same space, sort of running around trying to piece together the story that they've only worked in sections separately. They adjusted to it great, and it was a real testament, I thought, to the work that you all have been doing in Capital City with these young actors who are high school, college level too.
Thanks, Jake. One thing we learned from the process last year very well was that because we, as you say, they weren't together for a while. Part of that was because we had this brilliant notion to overlap the last week of Advanced Find Your Light with the first week of rehearsals. That won't happen.
We're not doing that again.
No, and look, it's hard, but it's also realistic. I mean, it happens a lot.
It's true. Yeah, it's true. Do you have a favorite memory, or even just a quirky moment or something that stands out that you think, oh man, that was aces, or that was one of the fun parts or something?
Yeah, I mean, a favorite memory. Carrie has that iconic scene at the end of prom where not a lot of good things happen for anybody. And I remember kind of being nervous about going into that rehearsal day because we were going to block that entire prom. We were just going to get a shape of it in an afternoon because I wanted a little bit of time to focus on, okay, Carrie is now full on vengeful God at this point. So we have to build this, but I also want it to be realistic. It feels right to me to have this be visceral, or at least as visceral as it can and should be. I was dreading tossing that to the actors, but they handled it like pros. And after an hour of working through that sequence and that choreography, I started to get the sense that they were actually really enjoying themselves. Because I was starting to get people saying, "Can I die like this?" And it was like, yeah, you can die like that. We'll build that in. And so they surprised me on that level too. It's a tough place to go, I think, for any actor, particularly a young actor, and to trust me in building that. And Michael Stanek was there that day too. And I was kind of dreading it, and it kind of ended up going great. That's a memory from
nice.
Carrie.
That's great.
So besides your work at APT at the moment, and navigating the pandemic and quarantine, what else is on your plate for the fall? Knowing that things are up in the air, and maybe what you're working on, in LA. I know that you're back and forth a lot. So
sure.
How's that going?
It's been going great. I mean, obviously we haven't been able to travel much lately, so it's been the work that I've got on my plate coming up is here. Wisconsin Writes is the new play development project that Forward Theater sort of chairs. So we're going to do 3 workshops now. Normally we have an audience of about 50 to 100 people come and do these staged readings and offer feedback at the end of it. Can't really do that this time. So I'm going to go into directing a workshop of a new play called Sapiens. By a writer named Eric Schabla. He lives out here in Spring Green. He's been a part of APT and has sort of an extensive acting resume, and now he's getting back into writing plays, as we're all grateful for. Fantastic 8-character play that has already had a reading at the Slowpoke Lounge at Two Crows Theater out here. And so we're going to get some fine actors around a room on Zoom and really dig into the piece and continue helping Eric develop this play that is already in fantastic shape. And then at Forward Theater next year in the spring, I'm set to direct a play called Clarkston, and it's a part of a 2-play evening called Lewiston Clarkston.
Yeah. Yes, I've seen something posted about that. Okay.
Yeah, it's a really interesting. It's a brand new style of a project for Forward Theater, which is why I think we wanted to do it. It's 90-minute play, dinner break in the middle, and the only thing that they have in common is that they take place across the river from each other. One of them is Idaho, and then Clarkston.
It's like those Alan Ayckbourn plays. Yeah. Those, what is it? I forget what they're called. There's like 3 of them, I think, and they're like a billion hours long, and you have to come back,
take a break, and eat.
Well, Harry Potter Inheritance, they're all like that. A lot of them are like that now. But that's very clever.
Yeah.
So those are going to be those are sort of the immediate projects that we have. But like you said, COVID-19 and pandemic and lockdown and everything is sort of throwing everything through a loop. We are right now at APT, we're producing these readings for a live audience on Zoom of about 300 patrons. But PBS Wisconsin is going to start airing those on June 5th. So every week there's 6 of them. So every Friday they'll become available and they'll be up for a week. So that's been kind of a project right now. So it's to answer your question, there's stuff on my plate, but it keeps getting shifted around the plate a lot just because of what's going on right now.
Yeah, that's a lot. If you had a chance to direct another musical, do you happen? I mean, I know you don't sit around and listen to show tunes all day. But, is there one that you've been familiar with that you thought, wow, I'd like to sink my hooks in that or something like that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was kind of sort of just continuing down that path of the genre that Carrie was in. I mean, somebody not long after that was like, oh, you got to listen to Heathers. And I listened to Heathers and I was like, yeah, I want to do this one too.
Well, it's so funny. Go ahead, Andy.
I just have to say though, because I have to make my case for this because I always like to put it out there. I saw Heathers when it was off Broadway and I wanted to leave at intermission, and not because it's a poorly written show. It's an okay show. I feel like going into a school and talking about blowing it up and shooting people is something that you could do in the late 80s that you can't do right now. And I was very uncomfortable by it. And maybe that, but it wasn't dealt with in Heathers the way that it's dealt with as a thing that we should do versus like, this is bad. You know what I mean? And I think that's what was my issue with it, which is why I can never get on board with that show. Sorry. I didn't mean to go into opinion corner there.
No. It's absolutely something that we need. I mean, look, it's a live medium and it changes based on the cultural context that you're in. And that's absolutely a point that people need to consider when they're thinking about dipping their toe into that one. I mean, there's a great play called Gloria that is, without spoiling anything, sort of veers into that direction as well. And it's a great play. It's a great straight ahead 2-act play. I can't see anybody doing it right now. Probably for a long time for a similar reason. It would be very, very dicey conversation to have with an audience. And so yeah, the subject matter on these, they've got an interesting half-life sometimes that you have to respect and take into account. At the same time, though, there's like the other side that keeps pulling you back often is that there are themes running just underneath a lot of these stories where you're like, God, that would be helpful for somebody to hear right now,
Yeah.
So
right.
It's tough
They still have connection.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they still have connection. Great. Well, Jake, we are so glad that you not only are the inaugural director of the Conservatory production, but you're part of the first 5 years of Capital City Theater, and we are really grateful for your involvement and your artistry and just bringing a really great, awesome, fresh take on what we can work with our students. So we were so lucky to get you last year, knowing, because we had talked and you had a lot of pokers in the fire, and I was like, wow, I don't know if we're gonna make this happen. And you're like, yeah, and then we just were like, yes, we glommed onto you fast. So thank you.
I'm so glad. I should be thanking you. It was so great to work with that group and to be like you said, the inaugural, to get to set a model,
you set the bar high.
Well, that's great to hear. I would argue that those students set the bar really high. I think
but it's a shame that they have to wait another year before they can.
I know. Oh.
I know. That was really heartbreaking to see that announcement. But they'll do it again. You'll do it. And I'll be in the audience because I'm a fan now. So.
Yay! Well, thank you so much. Hey, good luck at APT. Good luck out at Spring Green right now. Keep us posted what's going on with you, and we'll catch up with you soon because you're kind of in the family. Gonna be there. We're gonna see you at Christmas and Easter. Thanks, Jake.
Bye. Thanks, Jake.
I love it. Take care. All right. Bye.
You have to stick Jake back in the...
I do? Do I stick? Yeah. All right. I'm putting you back in the waiting room, Jake.
Now it's that awkward moment where...
No, wait. Oh, hang on. I just did something with full screen. We're really high tech here. There you go. I don't know what I'm doing.
Hi.
I play piano and sing.
That was so funny.
I was like, I thought he was going to leave the meeting, but some people leave the meeting. Well, I don't know. Whatever.
You have to put him.
He's a smart cookie.
He is. He's a really smart guy, and he thinks very deeply about the work that he does, and that's something I really, really like about Jake.
Yeah. He delves into the script and the lyrics, and lets the musicians and the music director pull their own weight when it comes to that. And so he's so into the script of the story, which I love. That's great. So, great. All right.
Well, we know that you guys have a lot of you all have a lot of places that you can support, and we are always just like all the other arts groups, we are going through our time as well. And if you are time,
breathe it in.
Merrily we roll along. I know it's very but if you'd like, you can go to our website, capitalcitytheater.org, and hit the donate button if you'd like to give us a cent or two. Otherwise, we will keep doing this, and we're excited to see how this, not just the interviewing, but how this morphs into potentially something more where we can actually talk about, I talk about issues and topics and things like, content in shows and what is okay and what isn't okay. I think that's a really exciting idea.
And we're going to have some announcements going on about our possible upcoming season and what's going on for conservatory classes at the core. And so just keep an eye out for that.
Yeah.
And we'll thank you so much to our team who's helping us get these videos out.
Evan and Beth and
there's a crew of them, a slew of them. So take care. Good luck, everybody. Enjoy what's going on and stay safe and healthy. We're not out of the woods yet, but we're getting there. We're out of the woods. Wait. Okay, so that brings me to really quick. My mug that I got from a student who took a Find Your Light course literally is it can't ring more true, honestly.
It's true. It should say song or Warner Brothers cartoon quotes.
That could be it too. Exactly. All right, we're out of here.
All right.
See everybody. Thank you.
Bye.